administrator at Tennessee State University, and he's given us some information in reference to notable events and personalities associated with Tennessee State University. Dr. CAtchison, let's see if we can pick up during this last segment to give you an opportunity to talk about, additional opportunity to talk about notable events or personalities that you think that our audience ought to be familiar with.
Well, one thing I can say about Tennessee State, when I came, it was Tennessee A&I. I saw so much happen and so many persons who played important roles. Now, this was an institution that afforded opportunity for growth, not only for students, but faculty members who wanted to get involved had an opportunity to learn because it was an evolving institution. It was a very interesting and dynamic period in which to work. There were strong persons there whom one could work with, like Dr. Thomas Pogue, Miss Avery. I don't know if you heard of Miss Avery.
I have.
Miss Avery was there, and just the presence of those people would inspire a younger person to, you know, if I'm on the committee with you, I'm willing to do the work just to have you there. And I took advantage of that and had an opportunity to work with students and faculty. Whenever there was an opportunity to get the university involved in community activities, I did that. You made reference to the building that was named for me. I have to give Tennessee State University credit for it.
Explain that building.
Well, this was during the Civil Rights Movement, how I first got involved. I was serving on the Briley, I believe, one of those mayors. And they formed a Human Rights Commission. They wanted someone from Tennessee State University on that committee, and they sent me. So I stayed on the Human Relations Committee, and finally chaired the Human Relations Committee. The mayor wanted to move me from Human Relations to Housing Authority, MDHA. I was with them for 19 years. After that, the mayor wanted to move me to the Metropolitan Action Commission, which I serve on now. So I have served on committees and commissions because I represented Tennessee State for a number of years. We even had what we call the Urban Observatory once. The Urban Observatory was a consortium with Tennessee State University, Fisk, Vanderbilt, and Peabody. This was an effort. The mayor wanted the city to become involved more in higher education, and I was always the representative. I didn't mind that because it was growth for me, and the number of contacts I had. I had opportunity to leave Tennessee State University because of offers other places, and once I almost left, and Dr. Davis stopped me.
Came and got you. Why don't you explain that?
I went to Morehouse for an interview. Dr. William Mays interviewed me.
Okay.
And while I was there, he interviewed me for the job. And he told me, he said, can you stick around until the afternoon? I want to talk with some people, and I want you to come back and talk with me again this afternoon. So I went back and talked with him. He said, I'll offer you department head. But he said, now one thing, we don't steal faculty members from other institutions. I'm going to call Dr. Davis and let him know what we've offered you. So he did. You know what Dr. Davis did? He called my wife. He called my wife, and she didn't even talk with me.
Call your wife.
Called her and talked with her a long time to find out if and she told him she wasn't going because she was in school. She said, well, I'm not going, I'm going to stay here. So the next day he saw me in the parking lot, and he told me, he said, well, you know, I got an opportunity to increase your salary. And he said, I'm putting your wife on the payroll also. I said, well, Dr. Davis, she's a student. She will be an assistant in the psychology department, he said. So what happened to me, I just said, I tell you, Dr. Epps, you remember him?
Yeah, I remember.
Mr. Epps, he told me, he said, you better not leave these people you know. And I was ready to go to Morehouse. But Dr. Davis approached me, and when he talked with me and told me what he was doing, I found out, I said, well, you know, I'm not going to leave here. So I remained at TSU. We started drawing a lot of students in the department. And I went to Washington and got a grant for graduate students to have a program in psychological services. And our students began to go into different areas and serve. I remember I sent one to someplace in Maryland, a state hospital, something like that. And he's here in the town in Nashville now. Our students began to go all over the country, and they were well known as students who finished psychology at Tennessee State are strong students. They went to graduate school. One of my students said to me one day, she met me in Washington, was a former student. She said, I went to Harvard and I got my master's degree. And I found I was taking a course that you had taught that same subject matter. And when I went to class and I was taking a test, my professor said, where did you go to school? So I told him Tennessee A&I. Said the only thing is they'll never heard of it. And she said, I got a B out of your course, but I got an A at Harvard. But it was that kind of thing that inspired teachers to work, because students were really interested in learning. We came to work at 8 o'clock. Even if we didn't have a class until 1, we were at work. We were there for our students. 8 o'clock until 4 o'clock, it was like a job. Now, if the job was not done at 4 o'clock, what did we do? We finished the job. The hour didn't mean anything. So that's the kind of experience that I had.
Now, we've got about 2 minutes, Dr. Atchison. Say something about President Davis. I mean, he was, his athletic programs, and 2 minutes.
Well, Dr. Davis had a way of working with the one that would get the best out of them. And they didn't, you know, you didn't mind the way he worked. And he liked to deal with you when it was something personal like that he wanted you to do. He didn't want you in his office. The office was kind of too formal. He would talk with you out in the parking lot. He liked to talk with you in his home. And I don't know how he learned so much about his faculty and students. Well, I do know. I recall I was teaching statistics to graduate students, a course that a lot of students didn't like. And he learned that there were some teachers from the state, Middle Tennessee, West Tennessee, and he was very close to them. And he would find out something about the teachers through these students. And he called me one day and expressed appreciation for the way I had been working with some of those principals. He said, now, you know, they want to get that degree. And how much they're going to need that statistics, they're not going any further. And he expressed appreciation the way, the patience that I had in working with them.
He was just, over the last 30 seconds that we have here, Dr. Atchison, he was just an extraordinary president and with a lot of vision. That's what I've heard about him, with a lot of vision and ability to get people, as you're indicating right here, to do a lot of things.
Well, he always talked about the years to come. we're doing this now because of
the years to come,
Yeah.
what will happen. Okay, and Dr. Atchison, that's about all the time that we have for today. But I want to thank you for coming by and giving us this excellent information. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.